It's 9:15.
Good morning. It's 9:15, I'm told. Yeah, 9:15 in the morning. It's Friday morning. TGIF, as they say. Yeah, thank goodness it's Friday. Oh, my Lord. Assuming you're a Monday through Friday person. Because we're not around here. We're Monday through Sunday people. Yep. And there you go. It's the 10th. I'm going to swap cameras. Because I like to be right in the middle. I am right. There's the middle line, and I'm to the right of middle. Yeah. And as you can see right here, this is episode 588. Can you believe it? 587 previous conversations. Just think of this as having coffee with Jimmy in the morning. Yeah, I got my 20-ounce cup of morning blend, they call it. Yeah. Starbucks morning blend in a K-cup, single serve. Takes about a minute and 40 seconds to brew, and you got fresh coffee. Yeah, pretty nice, all things considered. In other words, you're not making a big pot and sits there on a burner and hydrolyzes and becomes very acidic tasting. Yeah, there's some exotic things going on when that happens, which I don't want to talk about. All right. We're simulcasting between YouTube and Facebook. And Facebook is still holding in there. But you Facebook people, in case it bombs out, go to YouTube. youtube.com/FAU4U. FAU, the number 4U. Yeah. I've been adjunct faculty since 2003. You know, back in 2003, which is, ouch, 23 years ago, digital photography was nuance. Oh, yeah. I had all these film guys out there on the field, and I'm shooting 6 million pixel full frame digital images with a camera that was a joint venture between Canon and Kodak. Kodak made the imager, and then the brilliant people at Canon inserted the imager in the exact same position as a 35 millimeter piece of film would have been the target when you make an exposure using a Canon 1N sports camera with a high-speed shutter, mechanical shutter. Yeah, that was, I think, the ECS 560. Hey Siri, show me the ECS 560. Let's see. No. No. Oh. Hey Siri, show me the Canon DCS 560 camera.
I found this on the web.
Bingo. There it is. Look it up. No photo available. Yeah, look at that. Original price $28.5. Release 1998. Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. No image. Are you kidding me? Uh-huh. Look at these things. That ain't it. That ain't it. Repair manual. What the heck? What you doing? No, 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 no. Yeah, we want the DC. There it is. Come on. That is it right there. That's the Nikon version. Ah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Hey Siri, show me the Canon DCS 560 camera. Bingo. That's it. Right there. Sitting next to, let's save that image. Uh-huh. Yep, there's the front and the back of it. Yep. Save that to photos. I have that camera. I paid image quality. Oh yeah. I paid $25,000. It was a full frame. It was really beautifully color corrected. Oh gosh. Yeah, whoa, whoa. let's do it. Let's do it. Oops. Save that photo. These are the batteries. Premium rechargeable batteries. Yeah, look at it. They had serial numbers on the batteries. That was the connections. They slid right in that chamber right there. There's the digital, that's 1 gigabyte. Yeah. The images were about 6 or 7 megabytes in size. But the nice thing about, you know, Canon and Kodak, they came up, you know, there you go. There it is, the camera in hand. Yeah, I had that strap. I forgot whether it came with the camera. I had to pay, an extra. All right. I'll have to do a. Yeah. See EOS 1N down there? Yeah. Yep. That's the camera I had. My father got that for me. Bless his soul. Yeah. That was. So that's that's a pretty husky guy. I forget what it weighed. I'm doing print screens here. It's the site isn't allowing me to do a. You just. Yeah. Yeah. I'm getting this on eBay. I think. Oh, this is Edward Noble. Would have. Okay. Good job. I'm surprised I don't have a photo available. Use the manual. Open. Find any user manual. What the hell with that? I sold my camera to someone in Las Vegas. Some guy in Las Vegas, or a team of people in North Vegas, that had these DCS 560s, set up, where you got someone coming down a barrel slide, going into water, and the people in the, like a roller coaster are screaming, and these photos get taken of everybody. There's like a motion sensor that triggers the camera, and the lens is zoomed and focused in on right when the people come down, they're screaming their brains out. And then all those pictures go up on a screen as they exit the ride. And they can pick the photos, and the photos are, made within a couple of minutes. And they pay with their credit cards and all that. So, these cameras are firing, all day long. And I guess, the mechanical shutter. And, all his systems were set up to plug in. They had plugs and things to get the data off the camera and into printers and all that. So he was compelled to keep replacing. I mean, mine was a perfect purchase for him because, maybe I had, 10,000 exposures on the camera, where he had, millions of exposures on camera. So he loved to take mine. And I think I sold it to him it was on eBay for like $3,000, $2,900. I kissed the money when it came in the door. So it's appreciated from 26,000 to 2,600. An order of magnitude, as they say. But I sold it 10 years later, so I got 10 years of use out of it, and it was very novel because there were only thousands of them made. Not millions.
It's 9:30.
At $25,000 a copy, how many people or any entity, buy those things. Film is still 95% of the market. So that's so I was a relatively popular digital photography person. Having the best equipment. I had a Kodak 8.5 by 10 photo printer. It had the 3 layers of film and the heat and all this stuff. It was, the glossy prints would pop out of there every minute. Yeah, God, beautiful, beautiful prints. And they lasted, a long time. Those dies are outstanding, made by the Kodak company. The printer was like $5,000 or $6,000. So when I went to Europe with the United Soccer Association company, it was like a 6-week tour of Europe with, U18, U17, U16, 15, 14, 13, 12. There was like 160 students, the best soccer students in those under, 12, under 13, under 14. Yeah. It was like 160 or 70 students. 23 coaches, 40 parents. We all flew to like Sweden, I went to a hub city. My ticket was Miami to, gosh, I forget where I flew to. It was a hub city up in the Northeast. And then we got on there were like 10, 12 people, and students, all flying into New York, I'm going to say. And then there we got on an airplane where it was all of it. We took the whole airplane and flew to Heathrow Airport, and then we had to scramble and get our baggage and then get on another airplane to like Denmark, I think. Heathrow to Denmark. That was our first destination. And we spent like 3 days there. I mean, the nights, summertime, right? It's July 9/18, 9/01. It was 9. So it was in July. So at Denmark in July, these teams were practicing in the daylight. It was, late daylight, like late afternoon, early evening, but it was 10 p.m. Yeah, it was sun out. The sun was out. It was at quite an angle, but it was still sun hitting the field. At 10 p.m., can you imagine? It was so light up in the top part of the planet that they had, special shades, window shades that you'd pull down because, you couldn't go to sleep in the sunlight in your bedroom. So you had these ultra dark shades you pulled down. Oh gosh, amazing. The days were long and the nights were short. They had like 5 hours of darkness and 19 hours of daylight, at the top of the planet. I mean, you could, the atmosphere, you almost feel like you could reach your hands into the clouds. It was very unusual. The ceiling, from a weather standpoint, was very low. It's probably 1,500-foot ceiling instead of a 3,000-foot ceiling. So you could feel, you could reach up and almost feel like you're touching the clouds. Oh, gosh. Oh, that was quite a trip. So, these coaches, they're all, I'm in my 40s, and these coaches are, like 23, 4, 5, 6. So they nicked there was one lady said, "Hey, Kodak, come on over here." She didn't know what the hell to call me. She wanted me to take pictures of her team doing, some kind of a practice exercise. So she screamed across the field, "Kodak." I came running. So my nickname for this entire 6-week period was Kodak, which is fine. I should have put Jim Kodak Wilson, on my business cards. I handed out, 10,000 cards to foreigners all over Europe. Denmark, Sweden, England, London. We didn't go to France. London was, I told Marilyn, I said, if we ever had a bucket list place to go, London would be it. What a spot. So interesting. All right. This is Friday. Tuesday, Friday is lottery. Mega Millions lottery is run tonight at 11 p.m. All the retailing, all 223,000 lottery retailers, lights off at 10 p.m. tonight. Can't buy any tickets after 10 p.m. So lottery retailing can go on up until 10 p.m. Assuming your store location is open until 10 p.m. I think that might be a requirement that lottery retailers have to be open until 10 p.m. and then they settle up, with the headquarters Mega Millions location in their state, 45 states, and the District of Columbia and the Virgin Islands. So there are 5 states that don't sell Mega Millions lottery tickets or Powerball and all the other lotteries that are managed by whoever. There is no main office for Mega Millions from the standpoint of the daily draws. Now, each state collects their money. Each lottery retailer sends the money up to the state. The state accumulates all the money, and it's in bank accounts. It's all sweep accounts, and so there's a headquarters in each state that manages all their retailers. So Florida is one of the most populous states, the 4th most popular in the country. So 20%, and they have 35,000 retailers in Florida. So those 35,000 retailers have to funnel their money up to Tallahassee, to whatever bank or banks have been selected in the Tallahassee area. That's where the money sweeps to. And then that money is held until someone wins. It's a 290 million to 1 shot. So the chances of winning, for an individual ticket holder is somewhere between slim and none. Yeah, there's 290 million to 1 chance you will not win. Yes, sir. Oh boy. But the Mega Millions today, April 10, there it is. It's right there on my. This is not an official Mega Millions anything. You can see up in the. I like to start off with this. You see up in the very top in italics. I'll read it to you. Lump sum payout, after tax payout, and dollar values are estimates produced by author, yours truly, Jimmy Kodak Wilson. Data presented have not been confirmed, A, and B, not endorsed by any lottery. Okay? I did this spreadsheet all by myself, all by my lonesome. I made it in an attractive format. What the heck? I'm showing it to both of you, thousands of you, whatever. Eventually, thousands of you. Yeah. There it is. Look at that, Mega Millions. I have the dates. So we'll go right here to the column captions. You can see 110,000. It's a rollover. There have been 6 other lotteries before it, and it rolled over to the 7th time at 11 p.m. tonight. They'll pick the balls out of the machine. And the Mega Millions ball is in a separate machine over here. So the white balls is 1 through 70, all spinning around in this machine. And then over in this other machine are 24 yellow balls, 1 through 24. So they pick all these 5, and then they pick the one out of the 1 through 24. This previous Tuesday, the Mega Millions ball was a 2. Yeah. And the other 5 winning numbers is 5, 15, 22, 33, 37. Mega Millions ball 2. If you won that, well, let's go. So now we're at 110 million. See, April 10th, Mega Millions. So you're given Friday in the year 2026 on April 10th. It's $110 million rollover. They roll the numbers tonight. If I was, let me just look at it from the standpoint of me. So if I were the lucky winner and elected the lump sum right by the green dot here, the jackpot lump sum payout before taxes, what is the net present value? The NPV, net present value, is the value of the future cash flows. So here you see, here's the blue dot, or the green dot. Let's go all the way over here. So the net present value of the future cash flows of what? Well, there are 30 payments. So if you want to win if you want to get paid the 110 million, and you elect the annuity feature, where you're going to get paid 30 installments, 29 annual installments, and then you're going to get $1,655,000 up front, day one. That's going to grow 5%. It's a 5% growing annuity. So if we're going to have a net present value, what's the first one? $1,655,000. That's a complicated calculation. The next year is easy. That's 105%. It's a 5% growing annuity. So the next payment is, 1,710,000 round numbers. You know, and so on. It keeps going up 5% until the 29th annual payment is like 4 times this. It's like 6 million something. And when you add them all up, they add up to 110 million. Yeah. Key is, what's that first one? And then the second one, and the third one. Yeah. There's a big formula underneath that 1,655,000 box. I boxed it in so we could focus our attention to it. Yeah. Anyway, so if you don't take the annuity, the only difference between this page and this page is this last column is extricated. It makes all these numbers a little bit bigger. That way you can see, if I shrink this up a little bit, there we go. That way you can see everything that I see. There you go. So if you want the lump sum, the present value of the future cash flows, where it starts at like, what do we see, 1,655,000, 1,655,000, and then the next one is 5% bigger than that, and the next annual payment is 5% bigger than that. The compounding interest rates, the magic of compounding is 5% of the 5% of the 5%. All of a sudden, that annual payment is like over 6 million. You add them all up, adds up to 110 million. If you decide to take the lump sum, which means the winning ticket holder has to contact their state headquarters and tell them, I want the lump sum. You got to do that before day 60. Because on day 61, you can't get the lump sum. You have to take the annuity, where your initial payment is 1,655,000. But if you tell them before 60 days from the draw date, let's say the 20th day after, yeah, and by the way, you can't collect the lump sum before 15 days from the draw date. The lottery takes 15 days from the draw date to accumulate this $49,770,000. 49 million, can you imagine? So that's in cash. But wait a minute, the long arm of the federal government is going to take the 24% of that as a withholding. Yeah, they assume you're going to be paying taxes. There is the federal tax on this, and chances are you're going to be in the 37% tax bracket is the maximum tax bracket in the USA because of the great big bill Trump had Congress pass, and they passed it. Yep. So therefore, your jackpot has shrunk to 37,825,000. Poor boy. So you call your local banker, your TD banker, and say, well, by the way, $37,825,000 is coming in by an ACH credit today to my account, or tomorrow, tonight, whatever. And that will not be a typo. That's I happen to be the lucky winner. So make preparations for that. But Jimmy, make note, you're in the 37% tax bracket. They've just withheld 24. You're going to owe another 13%. Well, 13% of the jackpot That's the number that goes on your tax form. That's 49 million when you do your TurboTax. And you got withholding of 24%. You're going to have to pay another $6,470,000. So put that in the side pocket. Yeah, put that in a whoops. What is it? 6,470,000. All right, let's see. Where are everything? 6,470,000, 100. Put that in a 4%. Yeah, you're gonna earn $255,000 in interest at 4% with that 6,470,000. So just put that in a separate account because you're gonna hold that because you're gonna do your taxes by 10/15. By April 15th, excuse me. Me too. Yeah, got 5 days to do it. I'm going to start on it today, this afternoon. It's relatively simple. TurboTax, magnificent. They carry everything over. They actually go. They save the numbers and they go. They go to the payroll location. They pick up the tax information because when you get a paycheck, which Maryland does, there's withholding. Federal tax. We claim zero exemption, so there's a lot of withholding. So we're assured a tax refund of some sort because we get Social Security paid to us, and it's ordinary income, so there's no withholding on that. So that way, that money gets sheltered under Maryland's big withholdings. Anyway, after all these federal taxes, remember you had a lump sum of $49,770,000. The long arm of the federal government has taken out their $12 million in round numbers in the 24%. Can you imagine 12 million? Yeah. Then there's another 13%. That's 6 million. Goes a year later. So your jackpot shrinks to 31,355,000. Poor baby. That's a lot of That's cash. That's cash in your checkbook. Yeah. There's not many people that have 31 million in cash in their checking account. It's a big checking account. Individuals. Well, we're gonna split that up. We're gonna take that 31 million. We're gonna divide that in. We're gonna give away 15 million to our relatives. It was 12. So we're going to give $2.5 million to each of our 4 children. Just write them a check. We're going to have a check writing party at the local hotel. Yeah, we're pretending. You have to pretend. There's a book called Psycho-Cybernetics, where you sit there, close your eyes, and just imagine winning. And you're in Tallahassee, and you're carrying this big check down the hallway. You got TV cameras getting ready to take your picture, under the bright lights on a stage of some sort. And you get a lot of media people, standing around you, and they're all going to be applauding. You hold the check in the air and all that kind of stuff. You're going to hold that 49,770,000, facsimile check in your arms, and you move it this way and that way. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. You know, you're walking down there and you got your secret envelope with your ticket in there. Oh, yeah, this is an important document. Do not throw away. That's your ticket. Whew. Yeah. Well, when it's all said and done, about 28%, 28.5% of that jackpot is federal taxes. So you end up with 31,355,000. We're going to divide that in half. So you're going to take 15 million of that 31 million and write checks to our 4 children of 2.5 million each. So that's 10 million. And then we got 5 million left over to give to our second level of relatives, you know, like Bob and, you know, Troy, Janine's daughter. Yeah, we pay both up. It's like 6 people. 6 or 8. Let's just say 8. So we got 5 million. Let's do some math here. We have 5 million. Let's just say 10. They're 10. That's 500,000 apiece. So we're going to give 10. That 5 million. We're going to. There's 10 $500,000 checks will write. They'll come over here from, they'll drive over here from Fort Myers and all that. I'm not mailing it to them. They have to come get it. That's worth the drive to drive over here. The Beatty family, they're going to get 2 of these, so they're going to walking out with $1 million. What the hell? Get in the car, get your ass over here. We're having a check writing party. Yes, sir. Then we got 2 $500,000 deposits going towards the. One of them is going to be the Tunnels for Tower, and the other is going to be what do they call it? So there's going to be 8 checks, and then there's going to be 2 deposits made, 500,000 each. And Tunnels for Towers, and what we're going to do with them, with that 500,000 times 0.045, let's just say a little bit more interest. Oops, didn't do that right. 500,000 times 0.0. Let's just say 5. So they're going to be. There's going to be 25, and then divide that by 12. So we're going to put that money in an interest-bearing account, and they're going to get $2,000 a month in donation. So instead of just giving them a lump sum of 500,000, we're going to give them $2,000 a month, basically, until the money is gone. So for forever, if that entity ceases to be, we just take that money back and put it in their own control. And the other 500,000 is going to go to the Danny Thomas, hospital for childhood cancers. You see it on TV. We're donating to them presently, so we're just going to increase that to $2,000 a month instead of $25 or $50 a month. I forget which one we're doing. That's a lot of, they say just pay us $20 a month. Well, this is like, 1,000 people. Bam! All of a sudden, now they're getting $2,000 a month instead of $20 a month. Yeah, that's a factor of 20, right?
It's 10 o'clock.
Yeah, 2,200. So 220, because the factor of 10 is 200. Another factor of 10 is 2,000. So it's an order of magnitude squared. That's good. So that's what we're going to do. So then there's 16 million left over for Jimmy and Marilyn to screw around with. And of that 16 million, we'll go buy like a $6 or $7 million condominium, or maybe $2, $3 million condominiums in different cities. One in Boca Raton and one, maybe in Milwaukee somewhere, or Washington D.C. Probably Washington D.C. Yeah, have a nice. Go into Watergate. They're probably $5 million a pop. Yeah, we got a nice condominium in the Watergate. That's right in central D.C. Remember the Watergate, the thing with the tape and the Nixon administration? Yeah, well, there's a place, and it's an S-shaped condominium called the Watergate. They have condominiums. They have retail on the ground floor. They have a hotel kind of a thing. Get rooms by the night. Yeah, we'll get $3 million worth of something in the Watergate. Hopefully, we can find something. 3 or 4 million. Yeah, so let's say 5 million. So you got 5 million in the Watergate. We got 5 million in the Boca Hotel property somewhere. That's 10 million of our 16 million. So we got 6 million left over. All right. 6 million times 0.04. That's 240,000. So we're going to put that 6 million in the side pocket because we've given money to the charities. We've given money to all our relatives. We paid taxes on the jackpot. Now we got 6 million left over. We throw that in an interest-bearing account, and it throws off 240,000 a year, 20,000 a month. So for 20,000 a month, we got like $5,000 a month in tops. $4,000 a month. And administrative fees for the condominium, the association fees. You got another $5,000 a month probably in real estate taxes. So now you got $10,000 a month that's spent on those gross expenses. Now you got $10,000 a month left over to spend, to play with. Remember, you got 6 million in cash, and this is the interest off that 6 million. So that 6 million is kind of like protected, and we're just spending the interest. So we got 10,000 a month, handling the association fees and the real estate taxes on those two properties. And now we got 10,000 a month left over for us to spend. Dinners, lunches, airplane tickets, cruise tickets. If we take a cruise here or there. I like cruises. You get away and you're floating around and you go to different ports and nice big Royal Caribbean line cruise ships. When I was selling cameras a long time ago, I was teaching at FAU and selling cameras. Unbelievable. Part-time. Wolf camera, Ritz camera. Part-time in the mall in Boca Raton and Wolf camera. I sold more cameras than anyone else in the southeastern United States. It was the first time that someone in the 30 years of Wolf camera giving away a trip, to cruise, it was like a sales incentive. You get in the top 10 and you win, a cruise ship cruise to, from LA, you cruise down the whole western coast of Mexico. It's the first time someone in the 9 southeastern states won that trip. And who won the trip? Jimmy. I wasn't even a full-time. I was a part-time employee of Wolf Camera. Part-time, I sold more cameras than anyone else in the southeastern 9 states surrounding Florida. That's crazy. The second, like the first week I was there, manager Tom comes over to me and says, Jimmy, you're 12th in the country in selling cameras. I said, really? I didn't know there was a contest. He said, really? I said, yeah, so I guess I'll really start selling cameras, because he says, yeah, well, if you're in the top 10, you get a cruise, all expenses paid, you and your wife, you go down the western coast of Mexico, Royal Caribbean Line is, it's a Pentax, I think. A Pentax, so you sell Pentax cameras and the service policy and the memory cards and all that. You add all that up into and that goes, we keep track of the dollar volume selling that stuff. So everybody that I talked to walked out with a bag of Pentax stuff, memory cards, a couple of batteries, 3-year service policy. They walk in for a little pocket camera, and $700 later, they walk out with a bag full of stuff. So I kept on selling. I sold the hell out of those Pentax cameras. It was the neatest little thing. It was like, before cell phones really took good pictures. Yeah. So I won the trip. And then I won the trip again the next year. And the other people, in our store said, what the hell is this trip thing? Maybe I was... So they started selling cameras like crazy also. So a couple of them won, so I might have gotten, like 5th place, and they got 7th and 8th place. The top 10 go. And because 3 of us won the trip, our manager got to go along also, because the managers were on incentive. So if like 2 or 3 people in the store won, then the manager, won also, because he caused us to win. Unbelievable. So Tom went along, and then 2 other people, myself and 2 others. There were like 4 of us on this trip. 4 out of 10 were Boca Raton people, because Jimmy focused everyone's attention on winning the second time. I was like 11th place out of 7,000 salespeople, but someone couldn't go. So I got, I was like on standby, maybe I'd go. Well, because someone couldn't go because of other commitments or whatever, I jumped up into the top 10 because someone ahead of me was sick or, whatever. I don't know what the reason why they couldn't go, but they couldn't go. So I won 2 years in a row. First time anybody has won a trip. And I don't think anyone won a trip after I left the company. Because after, the second year, uh, when I went on that second cruise, I had a job offer from a bank to make like 90,000 a year in a bank in real estate lending. So I got back in banking. Yeah. So, but I had to be an employee, you know, the day of the trip. So I didn't resign until I got back from the trip. So after I got back from the trip and I worked a day, and then Tom was like off, so I worked the next day. And met with manager Tom, and I said, Tom, I showed him my letter. I said I got a job offer from whatever bank it was. So I showed him the letter, and I said, I'm gonna make 90,000 a year salary, so I'm gonna be a full-time banker again. So it's really been a pleasure. It was nice seeing you on the trip this year. As you know, I went last year and this year, and I'm sorry I'm not gonna do it next year because I'll be, working at a bank. But it was really fun working here with you guys, and I had a real good time. There's some good employees here. So he was sorry to see me go, because I caused such excitement with this branch. And when I left, everything like collapsed into wherever the position they had before I showed up. That was fun. It's not when you go on a trip and it's all expenses paid. It's magical because someone else paid for everything. Not only that, they gave us a $500 allowance to spend. They just funded you, and then another $500 for the tax liability because of the value of the trip and the tax bracket and all that kind of stuff. You got like another, 5 or 6. So they ended up putting like $1,100 or $1,200 in your pocket. So you had spending money on the trip. They put it was part of the prize. I mean, what's not to like? Yeah. So any kind of expenses you had, that was all paid for also. Yeah, that was great. That was magnificent. Yep. And got back in the bank. Let's see, circling back to my DCS 560. In the early days of digital, it was kind of nuanced, and people were, Kodak was like trying to figure out what the hell to do, because if they really promote this digital stuff, they're putting their own film business out of business. So they just didn't have the stomach to do that. So they never really got in the digital camera business to people, because if they did, then they wouldn't be buying film anymore. And they'd be putting their film business out of business. So they never really got in the digital business. Well, the whole world got in the digital business and put Kodak out of business. Oh, gosh, that was amazing. A shame. Yeah. I mean, Kodak went into bankruptcy because they couldn't, they're bored, and, the direction of the company, they just couldn't think of getting rid of their film business. But, there are not many, film cameras anymore. So when you go into your camera store, they're all digital, and you don't have this big rack of all these different kinds of, Fujifilm and this film and that film and Kodak and, all the different color temperatures and speeds for, sports, or speeds for macro photography and all that. Now with an iPhone, I mean, this is actually the equivalent camera, capabilities. My big 4-pound camera. I have the best Canon
It's 10:15.
mirrorless R5 camera. A lot smaller than the DCS 560, that's for sure. All right. I have to go online here and yeah, well, it's got $4 in this account. It says, please credit my account. All right. Pay transfer. Transfer between accounts. Yeah. It's going to be $100 from Jimmy to Brennan. Okay. From Jimmy to Brennan, $100. Immediate. Do it. Bang. It's done. So, return home, pay transfer, transfer activity. There's the $100. Let's do a print screen. There we go. Make it into a photo. Done. Get out of this one. Go to Messenger. Sorry, a little personal business here I have to take care of. There we go. There's a Brennan messenger thing. Photo. There's the $100 deposit. Send that to him. Done. It's probably done. Yeah. Yeah. All right, took care of personal business. Close that out. I think we've covered this grand prize business. 31,355,000. Anyway, so we'll have check writing party at the Boca Hotel. We will not take the annuity. We'll take the lump sum. That's roughly 45%. That's 45.24. Yeah, we know, because the $100 million one is 45,000,024. I guess that's, just move your decimal places over. Yeah. You multiply 45.24 times 110 million, you're going to get 49,770,000, rounded to the nearest 10,000. It fluctuates up and down, because we're in a 5%, interest rate market. I think 4.7 on the Fed. This is one more month. And then we get rid of this Fed chairman, and Trump has someone else picked that'll likely lower the interest rates. There's a differentiation between the Fed and the president. There's a division of power. So the guy sounds like he's going to drop interest rates, but when he gets in there, hopefully he does. Because the interest rate is also what we have to pay. So you got Germans, Japanese, Chinese are the biggest buyers of our treasury bills. So if we drop interest rates, we'll pay less interest to them because they're buying our treasury bills. Every Thursday there's an auction, and we auction off, $100 billion worth of treasury bills. They give us the cash, and then we spend that on our, to finance our deficit, because we spend more money than we take in. We take in $5 trillion, a year in income, but we spend $7 trillion. So we're, upside down $1 trillion every year. Now Trump and Doge and the agencies are trying to cut back. I think we have, like 50 or 80,000 fewer federal employees because of the incentives we gave them to retire or resign. Gave them a package, and 50,000 took the package, either because they were at the end of their careers anyway, or they took the package, which gave them 8 months worth of income. And they could go work somewhere else and, make 2 paychecks. They get one from the government and another because they get 8 months pay, even though they resign. That's what the package was. And I think when all that was done, they could resign and make 9 months salary as a exit incentive. Quit now and we'll pay you 9 more months. And we'll give you 2 extra months. We'll give you a year's pay. Resign right now. And there were, 25,000 people that said, yeah, I think I'll do that. And they did. Yeah. What's not to like? Now, the federal government pays up, but, in a couple of years, that'll start to reduce the deficit. Meantime, we have to sell treasury bills every Thursday afternoon. And that interest rate, is what everyone's willing to accept in exchange for the money they invest. So they kind of the number starts at 12 and they keep on bidding it down, 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 down. And they compete with each other on, well, I'll bid 6%. Well, I'll give them that money for 5.7%. Well, I'll do it for 5.3%, So they keep bidding to the point where the bid is not challenged. And then that government or person or company, that rate is then what the rate is. That's what the market is willing to pay. And that's right around the Fed funds rate, plus or minus a quarter. All right, so let's, what else we got going on here? So in New York, you can get sued. You're a police guy, you capture some bad people, you kill a couple of them, and then the families sue you for killing them, because they were killing other people, so they shot them, Well, the families then sued this guy, the police guy. He ends up going to jail for 9 years. See, now in Florida, all our law enforcement people are insulated from prosecution. Yep, you can't sue a police officer when he's doing his job. Now, if he murders somebody, when he's off the clock, when he's not working, then that's, he's treated like any other person would be treated. But when you're on the job and you end up shooting somebody to stop them from killing, mass shooting, you can't be prosecuted, criminally or civilly. That's just the law of the land in Florida, but it's not the law of the land in New York. Now, You know, when a conservative gets in there in the governorship, those laws can change. But right now, with the liberal administrations, so a tear rolls down the cheek of NYPD Sergeant Eric Duran, a 38-year-old man who was sentenced yesterday for the death of these guys that he was trying to, stop, a mass killing. And the judge says, you could have just let him go and arrested him later. Yeah, what's wrong with just stopping him now? And that justified the jail time by saying he was sentenced. It's a general deterrent message to police. It's a huge miscarriage of justice, according to, the chief of police. That's what happened to that guy. That's why I trapped that. And we got him, meaning they recovered their co-pilot, the pilot and the co-pilot of this crashed plane. There's the lottery tickets. There's my puppy dog. Just didn't have the energy to watch the Masters. Yeah, I watched some of the Masters yesterday afternoon. The dog was sitting on my lap and said, "You know what, Jimbo? If you don't mind, I think I'll just, not." Where I need to get. There you go. Yeah, that's the puppy dog. There's a couple. Oh, there he looks around. He says, "Oh God." Yeah, well, went back, took a nap again. Yeah, he's sleeping. He's laying down. He's lucky he didn't fall on his head. He turns into a jelly bag. A bag of jelly beans. Remember? You have a bean bag. He was like bean bag dog. That's his chin, upside down dog. That's underneath his chin. He's laying down. He's flopping down. I had to keep pulling him up, or he'd roll right off onto the floor. And he'd stretch his legs, and his leg would stay stretched while he's sleeping. I had a little lunch yesterday at Lemongrass downstairs. That's tuna with a couple of, eggs on top, fish eggs, on top of a piece of cucumber. These Asian really know how to make, these sushi kind of thingies. That's tuna that's been chopped up and flavorized with some kind of spices. Kind of hot. I'm not into hot stuff. I don't eat that. I have miso soup, and I get exotic. I get an egg roll. Pretty kind of boring when it comes to, chicken lo mein, please. They're talking about how to put nice displays on your iPhone when it's on the charger. I have my setup over here. Right here, I have the day, the date. See that? We should see all over the place here. And then I have the Dow, 48,070. It's down 115 points so far. This is like 15 minutes delayed. You can see right here. I'm jiggling it. Yeah, see right there. Tesla's stock to 345, up a quarter of a point. And NVIDIA stock, this is percent. No, it's dollars. So NVIDIA stock is 187.40 a share, and it's up $3.46. So that's like a 1.5% increase.
It's 10:30.
Tesla's about 1/4% increase. There we go. Here's a bigger graph of that's the Tesla. That's a quarter. Let's look at Yahoo Finance. There you go. If you can see it, you can't hardly see it. Too small. It's up about $1.35, which is 0.38%, which is really nothing. It's just hovering around 345, 346. In the first hour of trading, up a quarter, up a third of a point. A private company, I think Meta, took over 3 Mile Island. They took over the whole nuclear energy thing that's been taken offline and shut down. Well, they're going to open it back up. They're going to clean everything up inside, get all the meters and dials, dusted off, and they got engineers in there working to start that nuclear reactor back up. Make sure the safety systems are in place that weren't in place and made that thing overload and scare everybody to death. Everyone's afraid it was going to explode and ruin, thousands, hundreds of miles of our country. Plus, nuke a lot of people that live, 30 million people. If a nuclear reactor goes nuclear, a lot of people can die, for 10,000 years, all of a sudden this whole part of the planet is just, Death Valley. Anyway, so Meta bought it. They're refreshing it, adding whatever safety is necessary so that, because their servers, coming over these big server farms that consume a lot of electricity. So the government is allowing them to build power stations next to their facilities so that their electrical needs are not going to take it from the grid. There can be a self-contained society in there where the energy that they need is produced by an affiliate that they own. Yeah. That's basically what's going on. So they'll get a discount for their electricity. When they sell electricity to the outside companies, they'll pay a slightly higher price than we would pay. That's the way that goes. Masters is playing. That's the flag pole, very flag in the Masters. Played right there in the middle of Georgia. The son is making nice clam dishes. Linguine with clams is I forget what you call those things. It's dough with deep fried. Yeah. There's my doggy sitting up, perched on the top rail of the couch. Have a piece of have a brown towel that he's on. Here's the leatherette of the couch. So the dog is sitting on a towel. It's on top of the couch. Now we've got a nice picture of our little Cavalier King Charles. He's Was sleeping in a box right there, rolling around in the living room somewhere. Right around lunchtime, I'll go out, give him a little walk, go outside and walk. He's like crazy dog, he runs all over the place. All right, Mega Millions has rolled over. Here's the $100 million prize that no one won. So now, people have been buying tickets since then. Today is the Friday drawing, Tuesday, Friday, Tuesday, Friday, Tuesday, Friday. As you can see here, Tuesday, Friday, Tuesday, Friday, Tuesday, Friday, Tuesday, Friday, Tuesday, Friday. That's today. $110 million rollover. The green dot right there. The lump sum is $49,700,000 in round numbers to the nearest 100,000. Pretty confident of that number, based on previous lotteries. When they pay out. And unfortunately, the big arm of the government will come take out 24% withholding. So even though you got to put $49 million in your TurboTax as your earnings, because you got 24% withholding, that's the deposit that'll be put into your TD Bank right there. $37,770,000. But Jimmy, put $6,461,000 in a separate account. Earns interest. You'll make over $250,000 in interest on that in the 1 year that it'll sit there, because that's what you earn this year. They got the withholding now, and then April 15th, 2027, when you file your tax return, you're going to have to send them an additional $6,461,000. Round numbers. So you'll net out $31,300,000. Yeah. That's the number right there. So that is your jackpot after 37%. Now, if you live in New York, New Jersey, California, whatever, you're subject to probably another 13% tax on your income. So you'll have to take another $6,400,000 out of that. So that 31 million becomes 25 million real quick. That 25 million isn't bad, but for 6,400,000, I think I'd go find something in Florida and make it my permanent residence, and then that 6,400,000 doesn't have to be paid to New York, California, or Illinois. You got a lot of people from California, New York, and Illinois coming to Florida or coming to Texas. So probably both places, for sure.
It's 10:45. It's 11 o'clock.
What's going on here? Can't keep track of it. Right? No, thanks to my doctor. Oh, let's try that. My eyes. Oh, they're in. Oh, crap. When you got your glasses on, you say, "Where are your glasses?" You know you're in trouble. Yeah, okay. I want to go to my drugstore, see what's going on with my prescription.
Hi, I'm Gemini. We're about to go live where you can. Hi, I'm Gemini. We're about to go live where you can explore complex topics or ideas just by talking or showing what's around you. But before we get started, take a quick look at this important information.
There you go. Okay.
It's 11:15. It's 11:30. It's 11:45. Yeah.
Mm. Mm.